Welcome, crypto fam, to No One Daily Bitcoin Pod. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, aka astrology for the broskies, as Bitcoin's currently correcting and in the red, sub 95,000. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market, discussing FTX's 1.2 billion repayments mark, a key moment in crypto industry recovery, as well as Senate of Texas to hold a hearing on establishing the strategic Bitcoin reserve. We'll also be discussing Argentine President Javier Milei denies promoting the failed Libra meme coin. I'll be breaking all these things down for you, as well as Polymarket's bets on Fort Knox audit as reserve debate heats up. I'll be sharing these latest odds. We'll also be discussing the Fort Knox audit can send the Bitcoin price skyrocketing to $5 million per coin. Also be sharing the latest from the Giga Chad, Michael Saylor. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. If you're new to the channel, important to smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, then ring that bell, turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto newsletters every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1909. I'm your host, JV. It's February 18th, 2025. Markets are correcting. We're in the red, just sub 95,000 at the time of the live stream. Let's kick it with our market watch as we do each and every day. You should be able to see on your screen coin 360, slight correction on the biddy, down 0.75%, which is practically nothing. We'll probably flip back green before the end of the stream. Ether down 3%, BNB down 5%, Solana womp womp down 8% as the majority of the alts are correcting in the red. Checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap sits at 3.1 trillion. We've been back on the decline. Bitcoin market cap $1.877 trillion. We got roughly 96 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And the Bitcoin dominance back on the climb, above 60.5%, with the Ether dominance at 10.3%. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got Mantle, Maker, and Pith leading the pack with very modest gains as the majority of the market is correcting and in the red. Checking out crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective. Let's start on the day, and then we'll work our way out. Practically everything, I'd say, safe to say 95% of the market correcting for today. Zooming out on the monthly, very similar, only it's more Rec City, as some of these alts are down 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. In the past 30 days, be careful with the shit coinery. And checking out the Crypto Greed Inferior Index, today we're rated a 47, neutral. Yesterday, 51, last week a 47, and last month a 77, in extreme greed. And checking out the time chain calendar, we have 165,675 blocks until having a 2028. We're currently on block number 884,325, and you can currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,046 sats. So stack the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my boy Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. Let me know what you think of the new CNA cap that I'm rocking here today. But anyways, let's dive into today's astrology for the broskies, and we'll also pull up the live charts as we always do. This particular headline reads here: Bitcoin teases August 2023 breakdown as analysis eyes 85,000. Do you think we likely correct down to here? Let me know your thoughts as I read the latest. The Bitcoin price action has rarely been so range bound, and while the volumes are dropping, market participants are breaking for the shakeout. Crypto Quant shared the atmosphere is reminiscent of August 2023, highlighting readings from Bitcoin's choppiness index. He noted at the time the return of volatility brought a snap drop before the Bitcoin market embarked on a multi-month uptrend. Quoting him here: our choppiness index on both the daily and the weekly chart is quite unstable, meaning it urgently needs to enter a trend, suggesting a more aggressive movement to either side of the box. Evidence of this pressure is the 90-day range. The Bitcoin was found with fluctuations ranging around 16% from the maximum to the minimum of the lateral range, as you can see outlined right here in the charts. Now, Percival added that in 2023, before the uptrend, price cleared all traders of boring positions in the opposite direction due to the low volatility, further strengthening the case for a major liquidity grab to come. The choppiness index has seen multiple local peaks over the past 6 months as Bitcoin what's that word? Intersperses periods of rapid gains with the grinding consolidations. And as you know, 1093 is the current all-time high. So once we enter 110, we're back in price discovery. But let's dive a little deeper into the $85,000 floor. Considering potential price fluctuations should the 2023 scenario kick in, they flag the short-term hodler cost basis at 92 as the level of interest. Should this fail, the 200-day exponential moving average is currently sitting pretty at 85 Gs, as outlined here. The possibility of the false moves before the bull run is pretty strong. Many breakout traders are positioned in these zones, and the sovereign market tends to blow up to these positions and return to the expected course. So there you have it. Meanwhile, the spent output profit ratio metric, which measures the proportion of unspent transaction outputs, shows the short-term hodler's entity transactions and profit or loss, reflects its mildly negative values from August of 2023, a little reminiscent there. So let's also pull up some of the live charts. And again, welcome everyone joining us. The charts we pull up is via TradingView, via Coinbase. This is the 1 minute, so we're going to zoom out and go from the 1 hour and work our way out. So as we can see here on the 1 hour chart, we do have some bull trajectory here, a red target, as you can see on your screen, sitting just shy of 104,000. And zooming out from the 1 hour, the 4 hour chart still has the sexy 130,000 target in play, which you can see in the orange. And we also have the red bull target, again, just shy of 104, very similar to the 1 hour chart. We do have a rising wedge formation. We do have some bear targets as well you need to be aware of. One at 93,777 and the blue one at 81,799. Let me know where you feel the price action will likely take us next. Looking at a daily chart. As you can see, obviously corrective red thus far today. Yesterday was red and the day before was red. So past 3-4 days have been red as we continue to range sideways here, sub 100 Gs. And zooming out from the 1 day, checking out the weekly, we have the sexy cup and handle target sitting at 124,000. And we've also had the most recent weeks as far as the closes, we have been bearish as well. And, we just had a Sunday candle, another bearish candle. But nonetheless, zooming out from the weekly, take a quick look at the monthly. And the monthly chart, as you can see on your screen, is forming red thus far for the month of February. Historically, year preceding the halving, Bitcoin is historically bullish in the month of February, but the tail of the tape, we still have 2 weeks left before we end the month. So anything can happen between now and the end of February. But you guys let me know your thoughts, where you feel the Bitcoin price action will likely take us next. And I'm happy to read your comments out loud. Next story of the day, headline reads, FTX's 1.2 billion repayments mark key moment in the crypto industry. Recovery about time. It's been several years since this all went down. FTX Digital Markets, the Bahamian unit of the collapsed crypto exchange FTX, is set to repay the first group of creditors on February 18th, which is today. In a significant development for the crypto industry following the exchange's almost $9 billion collapse, the downfall of FTX and more than 130 subsidiaries launched a series of insolvencies that led to the industry's longest ever crypto winter. We saw Bitcoin price bottom all the way down to 16 Gs. We've come a long way since then, and it almost up 100,000. In a key moment for the crypto industry recovery, FTX's Bahamas wing will honor the first batch of repayments for users who are owed less than $50,000 worth of claims. Users will receive their funds at 3 p.m. Eastern, or not Eastern, UTC. I'm not sure what time zone that is, but that's today. According to the post from FTX creditor Sanil, who is part of the largest group of more than 1,500 FTX creditors, the FTX Customer Ad Hoc Committee. The repayments will bring an estimated $1.2 billion worth of capital to the first wave of defrauded FTX users. Thank you, Sam Bankman-Fried. The FTX repayments are being viewed as a positive signal for the crypto industry recovery, according to Alvin Can, Chief Operating Officer at BitGet. The $1.2 billion repayment may see a significant portion reinvested into crypto, hopefully the biddy, potentially impacting the market liquidity and the prices. So my understanding is if hypothetically you had a Bitcoin sitting in the FTX exchange, you lost that Bitcoin and they're paying you the fiat equivalent at that time, which was at the bottom of the market, which was like 16,000. So you don't get your one Bitcoin back. You get the fiat equivalent at that time, which was roughly $16,000. So virtually everyone still gets screwed. That's my understanding of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Quoting them here, this event could boost investor sentiment by demonstrating market recovery from the FTX collapse, though the sentiment might be mixed due to the payout being based on the lower 2022 valuations, precisely what I thought and precisely what I just shared. So it's based on the bottom of the winter prices when Bitcoin was roughly between 16 to 20,000. So everyone gets screwed. The scale of this repayment marks a notable event in terms of both capital flow and the psychological impact on the crypto investors. Despite the positive news, creditors have criticized the repayment model, and they should, which reimburses claimants based on crypto prices at the time of the bankruptcy. My understanding, if you put in 1 Bitcoin, you should receive 1 Bitcoin back. They're screwing everybody. Bitcoin prices, for example, increased by more than 370% since November of 2022. Precisely what I'm trying to say. That was the bottom of the market. And while the first FTX repayment represents a significant step forward, the capital may only have a limited effect on the crypto market. While it may not be a market-moving catalyst, the first FTX payout represents a significant victory for justice and overall market sentiment. I guess. Better than nothing. The collapse impacted many investors and cast a shadow over crypto. Thank you, Mr. Gensler. For retail investors, especially those without diversified portfolios, these repayments offer not just a return of the funds, but a sense of stability and peace of mind. I wouldn't feel so peaceful if I had 1 Bitcoin on the exchange and I only got a return of 16,000. I'm just saying. But I guess, again, better than nothing. Since the first batch, and what can you buy? 0.1 Bitcoin with what you lost? Since the first batch of the repayments is limited to the creditors with claims under 50 Gs, the reinvestment rate into the crypto assets may be relatively low. Many recipients may opt for safer investments rather than re-entering the volatile digital asset market. The FTX repayment process remains ongoing, with larger creditors awaiting further announcements regarding their claims. And just another great reminder to not keep your Bitcoin on the exchanges. If shit hits the fan, they steal your crypto, and they repay you back the fiat equivalent at the bottom of the market if you're even lucky enough to get it back years later, which is precisely what the FTX people are experiencing right now. But anyways, let's continue with the news. We do got a lot to share here today, as always. So here's the latest with Texas and the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Headline reads, Texas Senate to hold a hearing on establishing the strategic Bitcoin reserve. The Texas Senate will convene a public hearing tomorrow to discuss the establishment of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. The initiative, authored by Republican Texas State Senator Charles Schwertner, aims to diversify the state's cash reserves by incorporating the Bitcoin holdings. The proposed legislation would authorize the state comptroller to invest in cryptos, provided they meet certain criteria. At this time, Bitcoin is the only crypto with a market cap larger than $500 billion over the past 12 months, making it eligible for the reserve. Smart little rule they have there. It'll keep the shitcoinery away. In Georgia, Senate Bill 178 was recently introduced, and according to the reports, should the legislation become law, it would allow the state treasurer to invest up to 5% of the state funds into the Bitty. And some states like Wisconsin have already been holding Bitcoin-based products for some time. And while state legislators make moves to adopt the Bitty, the Trump administration's crypto czar David Sachs says the federal government is also taking a look at it. You got to do more than just take a look. You need to embrace thy Bitty, David. Sachs said the president's new working group on digital assets will first consider whether the U.S. government should hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. The answer is yes. It's just a matter of taking action. But quoting them here, one of the things that the president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve. So that is one of the first things we're going to look at as part of the internal working group of the administration. So he says one of the first things, a priority. So as soon as we get all that set up, we're still waiting for some cabinet secretaries who are on the working group to get confirmed. So we're still in the very early stages of this. But that's one of the first things we're going to look at is the feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. I think the concept of the sovereign wealth fund is a little separate. So there you have it. Do you think Trump will actually sign a bill for a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States? Or do you think it'll get watered down by including all cryptocurrencies like Trump coin, Melania coin, Libra coin, Hawktua coin? I know I'm exaggerating a little, but you see thy point. Let me know, because initially when he gave the speech in Nashville, he said establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve for the U.S. And then he changed the languaging more recently and said crypto strategic reserve, which leads me to believe they're going to include other cryptocurrencies and not focus on Bitcoin, which is a damn shame, but Let me know your thoughts. How do you think that will likely fare out? I think the Bitcoin adoption will come from the state level, as we're witnessing now over 30 states adopting Bitcoin or proposing bills to adopt Bitcoin some way, somehow. Texas, Florida, Wyoming, and the list goes on and on. The majority of the states already. But anyways, next story of the day. Let's discuss this Libra rug. There's actually a big story, one of the biggest ones. Let me know if you guys got to watch that CoffeeZilla interview with the dev, who is the dev for the Libra failed rug project, working directly with Milei. He did about an hour interview with CoffeeZilla yesterday. I actually watched it twice. I watched it again last night just for some more clarity. But anyways, this headline reads, Argentine President Javier Milei denies promoting the failed Libra meme coin. He can't even take responsibility for what he did. To me, that's not a good look. That shows dishonesty. If he would have just admitted and apologized, in my humble opinion, it'd be a better look. But you let me know your thought. Someone wrote here, Milei refuses to apologize for the Libra meme coin scam, quoting Milei. If you went to a casino and lost money, what's the complaint? On promoting the scheme, I didn't promote it, I spread it. As if spreading it and promoting it is a different thing. He says, I used my personal account, but you're the president. His lawyer then interrupts the interview. Just not a good look, Milei. So I'll give you some more insights here. Max wrote 5 years in prison term, according to the U.S. law, for criminals doing fraudulent activity of selling, aka promoting or sharing unregistered securities. And all over Max's timeline, you'll see he's quoting the law. He's not making that up, by the way. If you do promote unregistered securities, it is like a serious crime in the United States. And naturally, he was promoting it to people all across the world, including those in the U.S. Now, I wrote here, in which Max reposted, endorsing, sharing, and promoting are all in the same boat. Ultimately, using your influence as president to get retail investors who trust in you wrecked. Not a good look when you're the president of a country with 46 million plus people who look up to you. He just tarnished his entire reputation for life with this rug pull. Was it really worth it, Javier? You could have just embraced Bitcoin instead and been the savior of your people. And I do genuinely believe this. I mean, I just don't get it. And there's a great meme here. You remember Clinton? I didn't inhale. And then Javier, I didn't promote it. I just shared it. Yeah. Tell it to the judge. I also wrote, I propose Milei apologize. This is what I would do. This is what I recommend he do. Not that he has to listen to me. Who am I? He's the president. But here's what I propose. Milei apologizes publicly for endorsing and sharing the Libra shitcoin, in which his own dev admitted wasn't intended to benefit retail investors, but only the insiders, according to his own interview with CoffeeZilla, which I listened to twice. And that this dev, who still has access to the 100 million plus, puts it all in Bitcoin and then returns the Bitcoin to the retail investors who got wrecked, as Bitcoin is mathematically guaranteed to increase your purchasing power and over time will make up for all the billions of dollars in losses as a result of promoting this scheme coin. And then Martin Shkreli is reminding him 10 to 15, jail ain't that bad. Remember, 5 years is the statute of limitations. Crazy, right? And I also put a poll up. Who did the best meme rug? And it looks like Haktua takes the cake. 38.5%, Milei with the Libra coin, 33%, Trump, 24%, Melania, 4.3%. And here's a great meme. In Bukele we trust, 2024, Trump says, I'm a Bitcoiner, and then the next year launches his own meme coin. Milei in 2023, I'm a Bitcoiner, and in 2025 launches his own meme coin. Bukele in 2021 declared, I'm a Bitcoiner, and made El Salvador the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. And here he is today. El Salvador owns more than 6,000 Bitcoin, and guess what he has never done? Launched a rug pull on his audience and his people of El Salvador. So you got to respect Bukele, hence the philosopher king. But let's dive a little deeper into this guy denying the allegations. I did not promote that. What I did was spread the word. Is there a difference between promoting and spreading the word? I thought they were one and the same. But you guys let me know. And that's actually a fascinating little interview. The Libertad project, native Solana token Libra, rallied to 4.5 billion, if you didn't know. For the market cap, that was on Valentine's Day, shortly after Milei posted about it on X. Why do you think it rallied to 4.5 billion? Because he posted it on X, but then fell 94% after he deleted the post. Womp womp. As if that, gives you no liability for posting it. It just shows that you're dishonest. Just leave it up. Promoting accusations of a pump and dump scheme. And while Milei claims he has nothing to hide, well, he wouldn't have deleted the post if he had nothing to hide. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I mean, common sense if you're to ask me. But he acknowledged that he has something to learn from the ordeal, including the need to start setting filters on what conduct is appropriate and what conduct isn't. The libertarian economist said that the problem flowing from the token launch should only include the parties involved. The state plays no role. And when asked about the 44,000 investors that may have been impacted, Milei said that most of them were bots. Interesting. The best case scenario is 5,000 people were involved. Interesting. I would tell you that the chances of there being Argentines is very, very remote. I disagree. Quoting them here, most transactions in the Argentine market are carried out with dollarized digital currencies. Therefore, the Milei case does not affect crypto adoption in the country, but rather opens a political discussion. It is not a rejection of the technology or the change in the way that money is used. Milei initially said he liked the idea of the Libra token as a way to promote Argentina's economy, which lacks a strong capital market due to the state's mismanagement in recent decades. Milei said he wasn't aware of the exact details of the Solana project when he posted about it, and that he had no connection to the firm that launched the token, but not what he shared in the X post, in which has now conveniently been deleted. But nonetheless, you let me know your thoughts with the saga with Milei and the Libra token launch, and we'll go from there. Next story of the day. Here's the latest with the Fort Knox gold. According to the Polymarket, the betting odds. The headline here reads, Polymarket bets on Fort Knox audit as reserve debate heats up. That's right. Polymarket, a crypto-based prediction market platform, listed bets on whether Elon's Department of Government Efficiency will audit the U.S. gold reserves at Fort Knox. Polymarket introduced 2 Fort Knox prediction markets on February 17th, with one betting on whether the Doge would audit Fort Knox by May of 2025 and the other predicting the outcomes of such an audit. Polymarket's betting odds that the audit will take place by the end of April stood at 56%, indicating skepticism about whether the push for transparency will lead to the first official audit of the U.S. Treasury gold reserves since 1974. Polymarket, which prohibits U.S. residents from betting on its platform, and I'm sure that doesn't stop anyone, they probably just use VPNs, saw a massive surge in bets amid the U.S. presidential election, with many markets eventually pointing to accurate predictions. Since Kentucky Senator Rand Paul initiated the Fort Knox audit February 16th, many commentators have joined the call for an audit of its gold reserves. On February 17th, conservative political commentator Glenn Beck sent a letter to Trump urging him to restore full faith and credit in the U.S. government, beginning with its balance sheet. Quoting him here, I am asking for the opportunity to bring a camera crew under the strictest security measures to document and verify the presence of America's gold reserves. Wouldn't that be something? This could be a defining moment in your legacy of fighting for transparency and putting America first. So despite Musk continuing to push for the audit, Trump has thus far remained silent on it. And before his presidential term, Trump made some bold statements hinting that the U.S., the world's largest holder of gold, might not have all the gold it claims. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd bet a lot that Fort Knox is not holding all the gold they claim they are, considering they haven't been audited in roughly 60 years. So I think Trump's intuition is telling him the same thing. We don't have the gold. Other places have the gold, Trump said. And this was according to his own words back in 2015 on TV. So while it remains unclear whether the U.S. government whacked on audit requests, speculation is mounting over what could happen if discrepancies were found. Some commentators highlighted Fort Knox's 4,600 tons of gold reserves, worth roughly $430 billion today, would not be a big deal for the markets. Quoting Lynn Alden, probably not much, actually. It's such a small amount, even as stated. Some Bitcoiners suggest that the full Fort Knox audit could potentially trigger a global confidence collapse in the dollar overnight and force a rally into the bitty. Others suggest that the public would never know the actual outcome of such an audit, which makes the use case for the establishment of a state Bitcoin reserve. In the meantime, spot gold has been gaining momentum, setting a new high above $29.40 last week and reportedly reaching a new record in inflation-adjusted terms of recent. And amid the rise in gold prices, Goldman Sachs raised its year-end gold target to 3,100, reiterating the go for gold trading recommendation to hedge against the global trade tensions. And if you don't know, now you know. Now for our feature story of the day, the Fort Knox audit that can send Bitcoin to $5 million per coin. Let's break it down. As shared here by Simply Bitcoin, and this has been a very big topic because rumor has it not rumor, but they're looking to audit Fort Knox, and even Trump, in his own words, as I shared in the previous story, has come out and said in 2015 he don't believe all the gold is there and that it's elsewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised either, because the United States Gold Reserve hasn't been audited in roughly 60 freaking years, whereas the Bitcoin network gets audited every 10 minutes. TikTok. Next block. So let's discuss some of this. And speaking of a $5 million Bitcoin, it was Michael Saylor who said Bitcoin will be unaffordable, predicting the $5 million price. He says it'll reach $5 million, citing three major catalysts, including the spot Bitcoin ETF, check, bank custody with lending, check, and fair value accounting for the Bitty on the corporate balance sheet, which is official as of this year. Check. And in another headline, Saylor predicts MicroStrategy's market cap can hit 10 trillion if Bitcoin reaches 13 million, which is another one of his projections. Saylor agrees with projections that MicroStrategy's market cap could reach 10 trillion if Bitcoin were to hit 13 million. So first, let's start with the $5 million prediction, which he made. So yeah, on an X Spaces, he shared back when Bitcoin was roughly 90. Well, now it's 97. I think today it's like 95, but nonetheless, Saylor argued that even without any major regulatory or institutional breakthroughs, Bitcoin is already on track to surpass gold as a dominant store of value. It is going to be a grind up by a factor of 10 just because gold is broken. Facts. And Bitcoin is going to replace gold. I agree. Everybody in the universe knows now they need a non-sovereign store of value in the form of a bearer instrument. And with inflation concerns now a mainstream narrative, Saylor believes Bitcoin's role as an inflation hedge will drive its gradual ascent. Quoting him again, last year, people said inflation may be coming. Now the mainstream narrative has flipped to inflation is here. You need an inflation hedge. And according to him, this alone is enough to propel the Bitty to $500,000 per coin. But three additional factors can send the Bitcoin price on a factor of 10x to $5 million. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Saylor believes the Bitcoin price skyrocketing to $5 million per coin if the three major catalysts unfold. And the first, he says, is the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF, which we know was approved last year in January. It officially launched on the 11th, which would allow the institutions to make the large purchases seamlessly. Someone can go ahead and buy 100 million of the Bitcoin through a security, an ETF security. I think that's one. And that's precisely what the institutions have been doing, including Abu Dhabi recently making the announcement of owning $500 million virtually of the BlackRock ETF IBIT. The second major factor is banks custodying the Bitty and offering loans against it, a move that would integrate Bitcoin into the traditional financial system and increase institutional demand. Your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. All that's a coming. Lastly, Saylor sees the fair value accounting for the Bitcoin on the corporate balance sheets as a game changer. If companies can report Bitcoin's true market value rather than being forced to write down the losses, it could accelerate adoption. I can mark it up and I can mark it down on my balance sheet based on fair value, the same way I handle Apple stock or even treasury bonds, whereas in the past, it was counted as a liability, which wasn't fair. And quoting him again, if the banks can hold this stuff in their balance sheet, then a whole new class of investors are going to buy it. People are going to put in millions and multi-million dollar orders to buy it as a treasury asset, and precisely what we're witnessing. And with banks enabling borrowing against the Bitty at a low interest rate, he believes there is no reason for hodlers to sell. I mean, why would you sell your Bitty if you can borrow against it and keep the pristine collateral for yourself? Nobody's going to sell it because there is no reason to sell it if you can borrow against it at SOFR plus 50 basis points. He concluded. So he does make a great point. Now, MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy B after the rebrand, increases Bitcoin holdings to 478,740 Bitcoin, practically almost 500,000 of the BTC, which is half of Satoshi's wallet, following the purchase of the recent 7,633 Bitcoin for 742 million in the week ending on February 9th. And now for the other prediction regarding 13 million. Here's what he had to share, quoting Saylor when he was interviewed by Patrick Bet-David. MicroStrategy is worth $73 billion today, and this was back November 19, 2024. Let me know if you saw that podcast episode. If you're saying 0.1% Bitcoin adoption today, it is going to 7%. That's a 700x, right? So if Bitcoin is at 90,000 today and it goes to 13 million, you're expecting a 144x MicroStrategy in 21 years. If I do 144 times 73 billion, you're estimating it to be a $10.5 trillion company in 21 years. Is that correct? So So with that math, yeah, Bitcoin goes from 90,000 to 13 million. So multiply 13 million divided by 90,000 and it gets you the big number according to Saylor. So yeah, 13 million, 5 million. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the gold reserves will actually be audited at Fort Knox, or do you think that will never turn into fruition? You guys let me know your thoughts.